Hey, somebody's got to order Matt a root beer float. You did? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to the Professional Noticer.
Launch Control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
Here, you and I will use common sense and all the wisdom we can muster to go all the way to the bottom of the pool. I am the Professional Noticer. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. Did you know we have listeners now in 84 countries? Still, it's a very private place. Nothing's off limits here. So what is your question? Business, spiritual issues, popular culture? We can even tackle the odd conundrum like, if a wad of cash can burn a hole in your pocket, why can't you use it as a hand warmer? My purpose here today and with every show we do is to play the part of a best friend or coach. I want to help you live the life you would live if all your toughest questions were answered. The Professional Noticer sponsored this week by our friends at Tucker ATV. Tucker ATV carries every make and model of Polaris ATVs and the big Polaris side-by-sides, the Ranger Crew, the big boy. But man, you have to experience the showroom. Besides the Polaris ATVs everywhere, Tucker ATV has a showroom that is just, it's unbelievable. And antique displays, beautiful taxidermy, along with an indoor porch that's just unbelievable. Porch swing, comfortable chairs, books, free coffee, this huge television set. And my buddies, Shannon and Lisa Tucker, I'm so proud of them. They treat customers just like family, which is obviously why folks from 14 states do business with Tucker ATV. So visit this Tucker ATV Facebook page that everybody's talking about and read some of the stuff that Lisa writes. It's great. It's funny. Or visit Shannon and Lisa in person. The showroom's on Highway 43 North in Jackson, Alabama. Tucker ATV, the small town business with a national reputation. Observations and answers, that's what I do here, but you provide the questions. And hey, we would love to field a question from you. You can write me. Email is theprofessionalnoticer@andyandrews.com. Or call 1-800-726-ANDY. That's 1-800-726-ANDY. And listen, if we use your question, I'll send you your choice of the Guided Traveler Experience and 8 hours of live video seminar, or you could choose 100-Year Parenting. That's a collection of 53 videos, each between 10 and 20 minutes. And I think you'll really like them. And let's get to our first question. I'm very excited about this. I have been told that I am going to laugh when I hear this question. So let's see. It's from Kayla. She's from Florida. Let's listen.
Hi, Andy. My husband and I are both 29, so I guess you would say that we're young parents. I sure feel like it. We have 2 boys, 8 and 5 years old. My husband and I both listen to the Professional Noticer every week and have learned a lot. Just not enough, I guess. If I'm not mistaken, you and your wife have 2 boys, so I'm hoping you can shed some light on this and help with what I think is a problem with our boys and is now becoming an issue between my husband and me. Our boys fight all the time. It always starts because one of them grabs the other or pushes him or sits on him. I'm even embarrassed to say this, but their fighting often leaves me in tears. My husband says it's normal, but it drives me crazy. They don't seem to be mad when it starts, but it sure seems like someone always gets mad. Then, as it often happens, my husband laughs, and then I get mad. So, Andy, please, can you provide some insight or perspective on this? What is happening? Thank you.
Kayla, trying to be very serious here. I don't want to laugh because I know that when your husband laughs, you get mad. And now I have laughed already, and you're probably mad at me. You know what? Now I want you to keep listening to me, okay? I want you to keep listening to me. Your husband has a really good point here, but I know a prophet is often without honor in his own home. And so what I suspect is your husband is not explaining this well, or not explaining it to your liking, and so let me give it a try. Okay, I'm going to try to explain, because you're right. We do have two boys, and if I may say so, if my wife were in here right now, if she were in the studio with us right now, and she saw me laugh when your question, she would probably have hit me. Okay, because she is firmly in your corner. I mean, the reason I laugh is not because this is happening to you. The reason I laugh is because it sounds like Polly and I could have gone back in time with our boys. I mean, I think your boys, you said they're 8 and 5. I mean, that's the same difference between Austin and Adam. We had them when they were 8 and 5 too. And so we saw the same thing. And so let me just say that there is no problem with your boys. Okay, that's as I'm reading this now, because you're saying that they don't seem to be mad when it starts, but somebody always gets mad, and it starts because somebody grabs somebody or somebody sits on somebody, and I totally get it. I got the picture. Okay, so here's the thing. They're boys. And this is how boys love each other. These are brothers. And this is what brothers do. If I had to guess, you are probably, Kayla, like my wife, Polly. My wife grew up with a sister. She didn't have brothers. And so this was a totally foreign concept to her. And you say their fighting often leaves you in tears. I've seen Polly cry about this. I mean, I had to say, dear, because she would get mad at the boys before the boys were ever upset. They were just playing, and she would get upset. Now, I say before the boys ever get upset. Remember how you said that they start fighting, and then they don't seem to be mad when it starts, but somebody always gets mad. I have a friend, and he was like my parenting mentor, and his name is Mike Jakubic, and Mike lives in Arizona. And Mike's a real smart aleck, and he's very smart, very funny, and Polly loves Mike. She just thinks Mike is the greatest. And I remember one time Polly, saying something to Mike about, well, Mike and Lynn had two boys as well, but they also had the balance of having two girls. They got to kind of see the difference, and so Polly would say, there's always, somebody's always got their hand on somebody. Somebody's always touching somebody and picking at somebody. And then they start wrestling, and then they start, and then it just escalates. And Mike said, Polly, you haven't been wrestling until somebody cries. I've always laughed at that line. You're not really even wrestling until somebody cries. And part of growing up is to figure out where that line is, and occasionally crossing that line and having to deal with having crossed the line and come back and be friends again. And you don't want to take that from them, and neither do you want to make them feel as though they are odd or doing something necessarily wrong. Now, having said that, there are limits, right? And you and your husband do need to discuss that. I mean, this can't be a free-for-all that knocks over lamps and stuff like that. There needs to be limits on it. And, one of our limits, you're going to think I'm crazy when I say this. One of our limits was you can't hit each other in the face. No hitting in the face. And no hitting below the belt, if you know what I mean. All right, so other than that, I mean, roll around all you want. Just don't destroy any furniture or anything. Now, here is something that I think you will find curious. Our boys are 2.5 years old, or 2.5 years apart. Okay, so sometimes, like yours, they're at 3 years, and sometimes it seems like 2 years. Right now, they are 19 and 17. And at 19 and 17, there's a good chance when everybody's just hanging out and it's just the family or it's just those two guys, there's a good chance that they may wrestle. All right, nobody cries now, okay? But they're pretty equal in power. I mean, they're both young men, and they think of it as you've seen the National Geographic specials, right? Where the two little goats just like are button heads, and the young deer, hey, they have their little bitty antlers, and they're clicking them back and forth with each other. This is what boys do. This is what brothers do, okay? And there was one time, and I'll tell you this is coming up. There was one time that I noticed a different dynamic going on. And, Austin, being the older one, would usually get the better of Adam. But it did not work for me to intervene or to help Adam, okay? Because he didn't want it. I mean, he did not want it. Now, it was funny, and he liked it when I would pull for him. Come on, Adam, get him. Come on, get him, Adam. Okay, but he didn't want help. Now, there came a time when Austin was like 13, and Adam was 10, and then Austin was 14, and Adam was 11, and these guys are wrestling, and I'm seeing something really different now. And at that point, I took Austin aside. Austin and I just went, it was just when I was alone with Austin at some point, I said, hey, buddy, I said, you know how you guys wrestle, and that's fine, and you know the limits to it. I said, but right now there is something different happening that you need to be aware of, and that is you have kind of developed into a young man. Kayla, he had like gone through puberty, right? So I said, you are a young man, and you have the strength of a young man, but you're still wrestling a boy. And so right now, for a little while, you need to be careful, okay? Because there's a lot of difference in the power of a young man and the power of a boy. I know you love your brother, and I know you wouldn't hurt him for the world. And so this particular time in your lives, you need to be careful with that because you really could hurt him, okay? And so that's a conversation coming for you guys. But for now, I know it makes you grit your teeth. It did Polly. But, with boundaries, this is normal behavior. This is just boys. And you want them to be boys. And you want them to be tough and to know their limits a little bit. And so I think everything's fine. And I'm sorry for laughing at you. Okay? Thank you, Kayla. I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. Hey, I know you can Google the number of dog breeds accepted by the American Kennel Association. I know you could write an essay on agricultural efforts in Ecuador, but Where do you seek wisdom? Say you memorized an encyclopedia. Great. Would that get you a raise or make you a better parent? Knowledge by itself, without the wisdom to apply that knowledge in the proper way, is not just useless. Sometimes it's flat out harmful. But being aware that wisdom and knowledge are two different things, where do you seek wisdom? Allow me to suggest wisdomharbor.com. That's Wisdom Harbor, Harbor, harbor with an O-U-R. So go there now. Go right now, wisdomharbor.com, and be welcomed by a friend of yours. There's a free 5-minute guided tour, wisdomharbor.com. Our next question is from Wyatt. He's from Chicago. Let's listen.
Hi, Andy. Here's a question I'll bet you haven't heard. What do I do about a friend who lies constantly? I've known this guy for a long time, and it's a very odd situation to me. He has a wife and kids and a business of his own. He seems to be relatively successful and appears to be respected in the community, but he lies all the time and almost about everything. Several of our mutual friends have also noticed this. None of us have said anything to his wife, but we have said things to him. Personally, I have called him out on some of these facts or figures he was spouting off about over lunch, and it doesn't even faze him. It's as if someone has just given another opinion. Have you ever heard of anything like this? Thanks.
Wyatt, hey, thanks for the question. And unfortunately, I have to tell you that yes, I have experienced something like this. I don't get it either, but I think your friend is what we would call a pathological liar. Now, let me tell you why I say that. People lie. That's just, I don't know. It's just a state of our being or something. I mean, sometimes there lies like, do I look good in this shirt? Yes, you look great. I mean, you're forgiven for that. Okay, I think you don't even have to ask forgiveness for that. You're just being nice. But I'm just saying, society would probably not operate well with everybody telling the truth about everything all the time. That said, we all know that there is a big boundary there, and occasionally people lie about things that matter. They lie about, I did not steal your purse, and they did steal your purse. No, I did not break that, and they did break that. These are things that matter. These are lies that should not. Now, if somebody does this kind of thing a lot, they haven't just told a lie, they have become a liar. But when you find somebody, and it's thankfully there doesn't seem to be a ton of these people, but when you find somebody who lies a lot and lies for no reason, there's a pathology there. There just has to be. Okay. And when I say no reason, it's like, what would no reason be? Well, okay. So, I did not steal your purse. Okay. Well, there's a reason for that lie. And the reason is I don't want to get caught. I don't want to get punished. Okay. But, let's see, a lie like, wow, Brad Pitt is inside this restaurant. Okay. Well, what's the reason for telling that lie? And even weirder, you told me Brad Pitt's in the restaurant, and all I have to do is walk inside the restaurant and see that he's not in there? What the heck? Okay, but there are people who do this. And it sounds like your friend might be one of them. We had a friend like that. I've had a couple of people in my life that turned out to be dangerous liars, and for different reasons. Now, before I tell you about the different reasons in those two people, let me just tell you this, that when you say none of us has said anything to his wife, let me just tell you, don't. All right? Don't bother. It will only create more trouble for you than you want to deal with or anybody should have to deal with. I mean, I'm assuming you're going to kind of stay friends with this guy. It sounds like you've been friends with him for a long time. And maybe you're just going to kind of stay acquaintances with him, but you don't want the guy openly angry at you. And you certainly don't want his wife angry at you. And so I would not go try to talk to his wife, okay? Because I'm telling you, she knows it, and it's still going on, and she's still there, and he's still got a business, and they've still got kids, and for whatever reason, she don't want to think about it, and she does not want to hear it from you. I'll just tell you that. And I'm not sure telling him, I understand what you're saying, calling him on something. I had one of my friends that was a liar that I know what you're talking about there, and I'll tell you in just a second. I'll give you the example, but two friends that turned out to be dangerous liars, but for two totally different reasons. One of them was because I didn't know he was lying, and long-term friendship, and several things got under the radar with me, and it blew up in my face because I didn't know. So that was dangerous. I trusted somebody, he was lying, and it hurt, okay? All right, now the other one was dangerous for totally different reasons, because the other one was the one that I was kind of thinking about when you say this, because the other one was just kind of goofy, and it was the same situation. A bunch of our mutual friends, we all knew this guy's lying about everything. I mean, it was just, I can't tell you how many, it was like, let me just stand here and pick something out of the air. Did you know that every one of those trees loses their leaves in July and then gains them back overnight, and nobody knows they've lost their leaves? And we're all looking at him going, really? Really? Did you know that 5,000 people are killed by cougars in the state of Michigan every year, and the police cover it up because nobody wants the cougars to be harmed? And we're like, really? I mean, it's just like crazy stuff. And otherwise a normal person, but we didn't get it. Well, that turned out to be dangerous because there were people other than us who knew this guy's a pathological liar. Well, we just kind of think, yeah, he's a pathological liar, but he's a goofball. He's kind of a harmless goofball. And, we're trying to, in a way, we're kind of egging him on to see what he says. I mean, it's just kind of a topic of conversation for us. But other people in the area knew he was a pathological liar and would see us hanging around with him, and it tainted our reputations. Now, we didn't know. We didn't know. We didn't know that it was tainting our reputations, but we found out much later that, yeah, we weren't chosen for this, or we weren't, helped along in this way, and this wasn't allowed for us, all because we were friends with him. Very odd. Now, buddy, I don't know what to do about it. I'll just tell you, because we finally did talk to this guy, and it was as if it was almost as if it was a joke to him. It's like, you guys are kidding, right? And I mean, it was almost as if he refused to believe that we were serious. And I think we were the ones who left more confused than ever, but he continued on with it. You know, I haven't seen this guy in years. I finally just kind of figured out about this and just realized I had to get away from this. And I think at some point, Wyatt, you're probably going to have to make a decision about that too. I think that your friend, just like my friend, probably needs help that is beyond our ability to deliver. And it's, you know, in our case, it was beyond my friends and I, it was beyond our ability to encourage him to even understand there was help needed. You know, from a distance, I kind of kept up and watched what happened in that life over the years, because it's been a long time ago. But eventually it all caught up to him. And I suppose if, you know, he was lying about trees and cougars and Brad Pitt being in a restaurant, that he was lying about other things too, that, you know, things that mattered. And evidently it all caught up with him, because the end result was not good. So I think at this point, even though it's very interesting to you and very odd to you, if you're asking my opinion about how to help him, I don't know. But if you're asking my opinion about protecting yourself, you might think about putting some distance between you and this guy. Okay? All right. Thank you, Wyatt. All right, guys. I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing the mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, smile while you talk. Shake hands with the kids you meet, and make sure you have an answer to the question: if you had to live the rest of your life as a character from a cereal box, who would you be? And so, until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Large green olives provided for the cast and crew by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by theonlypersonintheworld.org. The OnlyPersonInTheWorld.org is a loosely paced association of people whom science has surmised probably each consider themselves the only member. However, if you determine yourself a candidate for this organization, you will find an application to join at their site on the World Wide Web. Here's a little 3-question test to see if you, too, might consider yourself the only person in the world. When at the top or bottom of an escalator, do you immediately stop and look around, as if ignorant of the fact that there are other people now being forced into the space you have blocked? When traveling by air, do you clip your fingernails or repeatedly shuffle cards 12 inches from the seat back in front of you, as if unaware you are clipping your nails and shuffling cards 12 inches from another person's head? When waiting for an elevator, do you stand directly in front of the doors, entering immediately when they open, as if no one else might actually need to exit first? If your answer to any of these questions is yes, and furthermore you don't know what the big deal is, you, my irritating friend, are a prime prospect for membership in the organization where you can be yourself by yourself. TheOnlyPersonInTheWorld.org.